People talk a lot about consciousness, but what is consciousness? Let's break it down. Consciousness is a fundamental innate property of the universe, similar to electricity or gravity or mass. Consciousness didn't randomly evolve. It was a fundamental aspect of the universe from the very beginning. But if an electron has a microscopic pixel of consciousness that's in it, then how do we go from that microscopic consciousness into a greater consciousness that forms I am? In order to answer that question, we have to go into quantum mechanics and quantum science. Underneath the base layer of everything is something called the quantum field. It's a place where nothing exists. It's just potential for everything. In this state, consciousness ceases to be something that is thinking. It's just an innate, the emptiness before the form. It's part of the primary substance that allows all matter to form from there. At this state, we call it the unified field. It's an infinite amount of mathematical probabilities. We call this mathematical probability a superposition. And since consciousness hasn't focused into a localized point, nothing exists yet. No particles, no individual minds, anything like that. This unified field is the oneness that exists behind everything. Now, let's start talking about the observer effect. The universe observes itself and creates a ripple effect in the field. Probabilities collapse into one single coordinate. This is where a subatomic particle or a preon becomes a thing. Now, in the classic world, if you have a brick and you put it on top of other bricks, all you have is a pile of bricks. But in the quantum realm, you have what's called quantum entanglement. And that means that the individual waves of individual preons or subatomic particles can actually combine together into one cohesive unit. When they do that, we call that coherence. Presently, there are studies that actually look at this coherence existing inside biological forms. Currently, we usually think of the brain as a generator, something that generates consciousness through chemical and biological feedback signals. But the brain can also act as an amplifier, an antenna for receiving, and a tuner. Microtubules are tiny parts of a neuron that exist inside those neurons. It's part of the structure, the skeleton of a neuron. The protein subunits inside these neurons have delocalized electrons. These delocalized electrons can slip into a state of subatomic superposition. That means there are parts inside your own brain that can exist on the quantum level in a superposition, in a state of where anything is possible. These act as receivers and antenna. They can receive the signals that exist around you. The antenna works by matching the frequencies that are going by. An incoming electromagnetic wave creates reality. When you die, the quantum information that you've received just gets redistributed back into the universe. Everything that you've accumulated your whole life becomes part of the collective consciousness. Consciousness is innate. There's been lots of studies about what consciousness looks like, where it comes from, and what happens after it's gone. So this means not only do you have your own individual consciousness, but you also have an ability to connect into the consciousness of everything around you that has enough complexity to its consciousness to send and receive thoughts. Not everything does, like a rock. It still innately has consciousness to it, but it might not be complex enough to be able to form thoughts or form reactions to the outside world and project those thoughts. So consciousness is innate, but the complexity of that consciousness determines how we interact with it and how we interact with ourselves. Part of taking care of ourselves, taking care of our bodies, taking care of our minds, is to allow for a clean signal so that we can hear both ourselves and the things around us, so that we can make the best choices possible. It also minimizes a lot of the automatic responses that our animal body might feel to some of the information that we perceive. That's the concept of the third eye, is understanding that you've got this ability to access information that can be from anywhere at any point in time. Let me know if you have any questions.